So we're here with Farm Manager John Haynes of MJ and SC Collins in Hertfordshire, Essex on the border, and we're just discussing where his wheat crops have got to and what he's done to date. So I understand, John, that the T1 sprays are going on while we're here.
Yeah, as we speak, we're about 200 hectares into 350 hectares of T1s that we're applying at the moment, and then we'll be stopping for a week, 10 days, until the later drilled, more backward crops catch up. And
are you treating the later drilled backwards crops differently to these more tall forward ones that we're in now?
Very much so, yes. The thicker forward ones are getting a higher spend, and the back ones aren't getting as much because the potential just isn't there.
And Andrew Blazey from Prime Agriculture, can you tell us what diseases, if any, are giving you concern?
Yeah, on the forward first weeks, the Septora is a lot higher than we'd expect, really. The amount of inoculum and the amount of disease expression in the crop is higher than we'd expect, given the dry period we've had during late March and all the way through April. The inoculum is there. There is a microclimate in the crop that's actually propagating that, so the Septora is still concerning us.
Right.
And the spread of it is possible in these thicker crops, either by rain splash or via the sort of wetter, humid, dewy conditions and the leaves rubbing together. And then on the backward crops that are generally more stressed because their root systems aren't so good, them exhibiting stress has mean they've become weaker to their mildew resistance has weakened, and obviously yellow rust is causing concern in a lot of varieties, even those that on paper have some substantial resistance scores.
Okay, so mildew, will you do anything special for that, or?
This crop is having a bixafen, prothioconazole mix along with chlorothalonil at T1, and there's a very low level of mildew in here, and we're hoping that the combination of the bixafen and prothioconazole will just keep on top of that, rather than spending on a specific mildewicide that we're having to do in some of the later drilled crops.
Right, and given the development of the crops, are you likely to have to use a T1.5 spray on this farm at all, or is that a very...
We're in a fortunate position here in that these crops did get away very well in the autumn. Although they were sown in bone dry conditions, we had 65 mil of rain at the end of September, which meant that nearly every seed we sowed has grown. So actually we've got in a position here, I think with normal weather, where we're going to have to do another late season PGR,
right.
T1.5 timing, growth stage 33, and we'll very much review really the weather sort of between now over the next 3 weeks as regards whether we need to add in some more chlorothalonil, a low rate of triazole or a strobe for a T1.5 product. So we monitor that situation as we go.
Right. And Bill Clark from Niab Tag, these crops are very tall. Does that mean that they're any more advanced than usual?
Well, it's interesting because that's exactly what people have been talking about. We've all walked into this field and the crop's above your knee, but yes, the crops are very tall, and what's interesting is that they are actually still at growth stage 32. So leaf 3 are not quite fully out on here. You've got the tips of leaf 2 just showing, but I think what surprised us all is what Andrew said, the amount of Septoria. So there is Septoria, you can see Septoria without even pulling plants up, because there are tips showing with Septoria, but most of that is on leaf 4 and leaf 5. But the leaf 3s, most of the leaf 3s are clean, so it's actually a perfect T1 timing. So I think a lot of people this year may have just jumped the gun and put their T1s on too early because the crops looked really forward, and in fact they're tall, but the timing in terms of leaf emergence is spot on. But despite the fact that it's being dry as well for most people, there's still quite a lot of Septoria sitting in the crop, so you don't need very much moisture to get that Septoria rubbing up onto that emerging leaf too. So although we talk about very advanced crops and low disease, this is a perhaps just an average year in terms of Septoria.